I like coming to Denver a lot because not only is it full of incredible people and beautiful sights to see, but it really reminds you when you come to visit a place like Denver that you're not an athlete. I thought I could run to save my life. I took the elevator to my room, and when the elevator door opened, I was winded. I'm sitting down 12 minutes into the set because if I'm being honest with you, I'm pretty lightheaded. Hope y'all are ready to crowd surf me because this is woof. Wow, yeah. You blink too fast, you run out of breath here. This is crazy. No wonder. It's like, I love coming to Denver, but I have to be honest with you, and you may not like me saying this, but I hate when my Denver friends come to visit me in New York because they show up and they can just breathe like superheroes. It's exhausting. The first night they're in New York, they can't even get drunk. They're literally like knocking it back, like, you can't even feel it. What is this, Don Julio? I'm like, I don't drink at all, but I think you're having too much of that liquid. No, this is crazy. No wonder so many like UFC fighters live here. This is oh wow. I'm not even excited to go back because I'm not here long enough to get the benefits. You know what I mean? I'm here just long enough to have a headache and then pass out on the plane. And then wake up in New York and be sick for a day. I saw people running today, and I was like, you know, like our entire like ecosystem of an internet is based off of people who cannot just mind their business. But when I saw them running, I was like, stop. There's no need for that. You know what I mean? Like, some of us don't have lungs right now, so you flexing both of yours is a little rude. Okay. All right. You can always count on an unreliable person to be unreliable. Like clockwork. There are people who you never want to ask a favor because you know they won't do it. But then you ask them the favor and then you make other plans. You know they're not going to do it, but they were the only person around to ask, or they do something on your behalf. Maybe they volunteer. Maybe they're like, hey, I'll go help you with this thing. And then in your head, you're like, okay, that's not going to happen, but also, whatever. You can always count on an unreliable person to like not come through. And I say that because Trump went to China. And I'm having trouble distilling this idea, so just be patient with me. There's already all of these walls we've sort of put up, some like metaphorical and some literal, to get into the country. If you don't live here and you want to come visit, there's all these things like a visa. We take visas for granted as Americans because up until, I don't know, a couple of years ago, the American passport was pretty powerful. You could pretty much go anywhere, right? And people would be excited to have you. So then even the visa process for an American was very different than the visa process for someone like that's from Uganda trying to come here, or from Malaysia trying to go to France or something. There's usually a little bit of a process, and you can't just do it last minute. Like most of our visas, we can just straight up fill out a form on our phone the day before. And that doesn't fly in a lot of places. You gotta get special permission sometimes. You have to explain why you want to come and everything. And that's all for people to come here. We should probably do some of that for people who leave. Because just because you can afford a plane ticket doesn't mean you're the best of us. There are plenty of Americans going out there setting a very horrible example, and then you travel, you finally get there, and they're like, oh, you're not like the other Americans. And you're like, what happened before I got here? Oh no, this is terrible. And I just feel that way about Trump's trips. I'm like, maybe, I don't know, man. Do you know what I mean? Maybe like blindfold him and spin him around a couple times and then just tell him he's in China. Like, just... Like, I've been in situations before where like someone had to negotiate for all of us. You know, like there was a road trip I went on. This is several years ago. I went on a road trip with my friends, and we had a blowout of one of the tires. I'm surprised we didn't die because our friend driving was already not a good driver. It's terrible that he got thrown an obstacle. Do you know what I mean? Like he's already not great about not looking at you while he's talking to you while he's driving. He's one of those people. You know those people who, like, as they're driving and they're making a point about something, they gotta make sure they look you in the eye. Never mind what's going on here. You know, forward, where we're going, at maybe 80 miles per hour. Maybe we could run into someone else who's going, I don't know, 79. I don't know the math on it. I'm not good at those math problems to know when we'll hit them, but we're definitely gonna hit something if you keep looking at me while you try to describe the best album. You'd rather hear it than die. And so he already practices some of the worst driving habits you possibly can. Like, he's not one of those people, you know, he would never drink and drive. He doesn't even text and drive. You know, and these two things are incredibly dangerous. People really sleep on texting and driving and how bad it is and how many accidents it can lead to. So he doesn't text and drive, but he dozes. Yeah, he'll give it a nice long blink, you know? You know, one of those blinks that last half a mile and then you have to look over his shoulder to make sure his eyes are even open, and then you're like, hey, you're driving. So when he's not doing this, he's just doing this. There was one time, he was so lucky he was driving. I wanted to hit him so bad. I wanted to hit him, but that would have also caused us to crash. But like, I wanted to hit him because he was clearly falling asleep at the wheel, clearly having an amazing dream. I was like, no, I'll be damned if I let you kill us smiling. That's He's not even going through it. Like, truckers and people who have to drive for long hauls, they're battling the sleep. They're actually like, biting their lip, biting their tongue, whatever it takes. This dude over here. And my favorite is when we are all like talking. We're all trying to keep him awake because we know he's gonna fall asleep when it's his turn. So we're all trying to like keep him awake. You know, like talking to him, talking to each other. You know, people in the back being loud on purpose, but he still finds a way. And my favorite one is when he's. No. Terrible stuff. And so, you know, he's driving, and then there's a blowout, and he handled it great. He handled it fantastic, better than I thought he would, because he was asleep. But the pop of the tire woke him up, and then he screamed, and then you can tell he really loves us because he just started talking to all of us like he was our mom. He was like, hold on, everybody. And so he pulls over. Of course, there's no spare. So then we drove down the exit to a gas station. The gas station like referred us to these people who were not that far, like a half mile away, and that was an actual like auto shop. And so we go over there. And this is the thing about when you go to a mechanic, you only go to them when you need them, and they know. They know. Going to a mechanic is a lot like if I just stood right underneath a beautiful, like, picturesque cliff with some slippery rocks, and I just stood there all day selling Band-Aids. Somebody lands in front. Oh! I'm like, oh, you look like you could use some help. Now, there aren't any other Band-Aids for 100 miles, so these are gonna run a premium. Because it's just you need to pay what, and look, and on the mechanic side, I get it. This is your labor, these are your parts, this is, you know, everything that it takes to just do the job that these people desperately need you to do. So sometimes, yeah, it seems expensive, but you're also in a pinch. You know, you didn't show up to the mechanic to hang out. And so, yeah, you want to be on your way. Depending on when you need to get there, also depends on your level of hurry, depends on the hours worked and everything. And so, basically, they say that the tire and the damage that we did to the wheel by driving on it is going to run us like $800, right? And it's like, all right, you know, there's 4 of us. We can split it 4 ways and everything. And my friend, my sweet friend, my unreliable friend, is like, let me go talk to him. I think I can handle this, you know what I mean? Like my dad taught me how to negotiate. You know, you just took the first number that they said. They're just throwing out ballparking to see what we're willing to pay. But if we come down a little, they might come down a little. Let's just, you know, see. And we were like, don't. We were like, don't do that. You aren't even a good driver, much less a mechanic. Like, maybe this is straight up $800 worth of damage and work. Like, it's fine, leave it. We're all willing to pay $200, I guess, except for him, because he really wanted to go haggle. And so then he went as representative on our behalf that we did not want to go. And he went in there and chatted with them. The whole thing seemed friendly, too. The whole thing seemed like pretty, like, you know, he did a lot of that nodding. You know that nodding where you can't tell how the conversation is going because the nod is too big for whatever they said? Like, he's clearly putting on a show for us back over here watching him because his nods are like... I'm like, nods never require your back. You shouldn't be throwing back when you nod. A regular nod is just head. You are throwing half back in there, crossing your arms, really bending down. And then, he does like a quick nod, like a little, shakes hands with them, walks back over to us and says, guys, it's gonna be $1,200. And that's what it feels like whenever Trump visits a country and talks about like trade and stuff. It's like, I don't want you to do the trade. You're not good at trading. You've been bankrupt a lot. And the whole time he was in China, I was like, I know I'm asking a lot. I know I'm asking a lot. But I was watching TV while Trump was in China. I was like, please don't say anything racist. 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 And then he was at this dinner. I don't know what it was. The camera was in too tight, but he was talking to them there. And I was like, well, oh boy. Yeah, I mean, this is like letting your great uncle give the toast at Thanksgiving. You're like, something's about to happen. And Trump said, we in America have more Chinese restaurants than any other type of restaurant. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like, y'all, that wasn't that bad. Y'all, it could have been way worse. We sent an 80-year-old man to China to talk. That could have been rough. Ooh. And admittedly, I didn't see everything, but I remember when I was watching that, and he was like, yeah, we got more Chinese restaurants than we have McDonald's, KFC's, and Taco Bell's, and Burger King's combined. I was like, he did his homework, I guess. Y'all don't know the bullet that we dodged. That was crazy. That really felt off the cuff, too. I was like, as soon as he stopped reading the teleprompter, I'm like, well, uh-oh. He's gonna... Oh, no. Man. This dude's supposed to be some sort of supreme negotiator. And he went over to China, and the whole time I was like, I have a bad feeling. I don't know. Every time he talks to a world power, he does end up kind of giving them what they want. Terrified, you might as well just shown up to China with a menu. Been like, what parts of America would you like? Because then, coming away from this summit, apparently there's going to be 500,000 more Chinese students able to come to universities in the U.S., and there's going to be even more purchases of China buying farmland here. This is as like farmers here that own their land are like foreclosing at like 46%. This is very bad. This man. And then he was talking about President Xi in an interview, and he was like, he's all business, no games. And as well as like, as soon as he started talking, I was like, oh, I feel like he has even made us forget that is what your president is supposed to be. It's very telling that Trump was like, man, he all business. You know, I'm over here trying to dab him up and everything. And and I'm not even kidding. Trump is like, yeah, there's no talking about the weather with this guy. He's not like, hey, let's look up at the stars. Sometimes I low-key think he's just talking about things he'd like to do with them. Like, it's like there's no looking up at the stars. There's no looking up at the sun. And I was like, please do not tell me you looked at the sun at the China summit. You would have been the only one. And they would have been wondering, what is he doing? What is he doing? It appears he's trying to blind himself. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, because then in the interview, this man's talking about, and he's like, no, it's good. It's good that China's going to buy up the farmland and that there's going to be like 500,000 Chinese students coming over and everything. Because he's like, you know, without that, the infrastructure would collapse. And I'm like, dog, what are you talking about? What? Why are you telling us that now? He shows up like he's like fixed some sort of problem. It's like, we didn't know any of that. That's terrifying. He's like, yeah, if they don't come over and come to our schools, the schools are going to close. And if they don't buy up the farmland, it's going to foreclose anyway. And it's like, it feels like he doesn't live here. Do you know what I mean? Like, he definitely talks about, when you talk about actual problems of everyday Americans, he definitely talks about it like he's not from here. Where it's just like a general idea, where he's like, oh, that sucks for them. It's like, dog, you're the president of this one, of this country. Man. Look, and admittedly, I don't even know how that's gonna work. I don't know the visa system. I don't know what those students coming over actually means for students here. I can't pretend to know. But I do know the farmland thing is bad. The farmland thing, that's pretty direct. Like, that was like, no, we can see it, and now they own it, and they're not even here. Like, what do they want with it? What did they, like, because then it just feels like you're buying up pieces of America, which does look like what's happening. I never thought that, like, we would be for sale this hard. I knew we were for sale for, like, the Epstein billionaires. I didn't know we were for sale to, like, anybody. I can't imagine what that was like for this week. Being with Trump in China and being a translator. Because Trump being himself, and once again, 80-year-old man that is just, you know, saying his thoughts out loud. Even when he was on Air Force One and he was coming back, he was Air Force One. He was coming back, and then a journalist asked him, "Did you talk to President Xi about the cyber attacks that China's been engaging in that have been digging into our infrastructure or just like threatening our financial systems? Like, did that come up at all?" And I wish I could have been on that plane. I wish I could have been on that plane to then ask the journalist, what do you think? No, like, truly, what do you think? This guy on camera for the world was like, we have more Chinese restaurants than y'all. That's the guy you think asked about cybersecurity. And then Trump starts to answer a question. Trump is basically like, hey, look, you know, it didn't come up in that way, but you know, they spy on us and we spy on them and we do a bunch of spying on them. Like everything they do to us, we do to them too. And I was like, what are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? What are you saying? They're still watching, by the way. You haven't taken off yet, I don't think. You're still there. It's like, yeah, everything that they do to us, we do to them too. And sometimes we do even more. Like they have spies over here, but we got plenty of spies over there doing all the spying. I want you to imagine for a second being a Chinese spy here. You're a Chinese spy and you're here. You're here in the U.S. and you're a Chinese spy. You're a Chinese spy here. And you're watching that and you're a Chinese spy here. And you watch, I feel like he has made the job of a Chinese spy so difficult because he tells everything already. So then there's nothing for the Chinese to spy on. He'll just say stuff and then the Chinese spy will be like, that's what I was about to WhatsApp anyway. This man taking my whole job. They think I'm not doing work. They think I'm up here sipping Mai Tais and stuff because every time I try to send them something that's already in the news because he already said it, I can't even spy fast enough because he's saying everything too quick. Trump is over here being like, yeah, they spy on us, but we spy on them above. We doing all manner of stuff to them, spying on them consistently. We can't stop spying on them. Imagine, you're an American spying in China. And you're watching that and you're like, oh. It's like, oh, they spy on us. We spy on them a heck of a, you know, they're doing a lot of stuff to us. But, you know, I told them, we do stuff to y'all all the time. Stuff you probably don't even know about. I was like, shut up. 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 Oh, shut up. Oh, shut up. And so I can't imagine. I cannot imagine being there with this administration and being an interpreter. That's gotta be very difficult to be an interpreter in the moment because, you know, Trump just says what's on his mind. He just feels the room and then whatever comes to mind is what he says. I'm sure he was standing there with President Xi, closed door meetings. We're talking about trade. We're talking about infrastructure. We're talking about how the two world powers are going to move together, especially with the contentious state of Taiwan, right? Will we recognize Taiwan? Will China grab that full ownership of Taiwan that they claim? All these things are happening in the room. This is intense, and you're an interpreter. You're the only one that understands what both people are saying. And then Trump turns to you and says, ask them why they haven't come out with Rush Hour 4 yet. And now you, as an interpreter, look at the president like, My president wanted to ask you. My president was looking to ask you about cyber attacks. I feel like I have so many different feelings popping up all the time as I get older. I recognize that by no means am I like, some old man, but I am old enough now that people are concerned when I try to do a backflip. You would be surprised. I feel, I try to stay fairly fit. I know I'm not the biggest guy in the world or anything, and I know a backflip it can be difficult to do. It's not just, you don't just think about it and then you do it, right? But when I even mentioned to my friends that I want to attempt a front flip or a back flip, they looked at me like I said I was taking up heroin. They were like, what? Why? And I was like, I don't know. My whole life I thought it was so cool. And so I was like, let me just, before I actually can't do it, let me try to do it. Let me learn to do it. Just a thing to do. Remember when you were little and you just tried stuff because it looked cool? That's why. There's no big reason. I'm not gonna join the circus. I'm not leaving everything behind. I just want to do a front flip or back flip. I'm not even trying to be greedy. I'm not trying to get both flips. I will take one flip, whichever way works for me first. And they were like, "What? How old are you?" And I was like, what's happening? Just want to try. Is that crazy? And now I tried a couple times. I couldn't quite get it. I was basically getting 3/4 of the way at most, right? And so it was meaning I was like falling on my butt a lot and stuff like that. And I didn't hurt myself or anything. But now I messed up. And I told the wrong people my dream. Now I'm paranoid. This is why sometimes you gotta keep your dream to yourself. Now I'm paranoid because then when they look at me and I say I want to do one of the flips, and they look at me like I don't have feet. Like they're like, how? I'm like, the same way other people do eventually. I'm not trying to invent a new way to do it. I just want to flip. But now I know I can't get hurt. Now if I get hurt, all the haters will be like, see, this is why you don't dream. Stop dreaming. Stop believing in yourself. I have a couple supportive friends, but then my friends who are supportive of the flip are almost too supportive, where they're like, they'll see me fall and be like, get up and give it another go. I'm like, well... That last one was a close call. Let's not go crazy here. It's hard to know the appropriate amount of supportive to be when someone has a dream. People have told me their dreams before, and luckily, I have some fairly realistic friends. It's very easy to support their dream. I had a friend one time tell me that they had a real interest and a real love for textiles and stuff like that. And so they wanted to one day open up their own fabric shop. And I was like, that's great. That's fantastic. And that's an achievable dream. You come up with a business plan, you put it in the right location, dream away. Dream hard, dream big. Big fabric shop. You'll be Fabric Walmart. You can hype a person like that up. You can, because there's just something, first of all, there's something so genuine about the thing. It is from a place of passion, and it is from a sort of business model that we have seen work since we've been wrapping stuff around our bodies. It is difficult when you have a friend who is like, I'm gonna be a famous singer. And then you're like, uh-oh. No, it's not that I don't believe. It's not that I don't believe in people. I try to hype up people's dream. And here's the thing that I don't do. I never voice my disbelief. All I try to do is guide them to a thing that I think will help them to get better to where I might believe in their dream. And so then, when they were like, I'm gonna be a famous singer, I was like, you can be famous. No, because people can be famous for anything. You can be famous for anything. That's half it right there. Get famous first and then la-da-da. And then that way, because here's the thing, they want to be a famous singer, but they can't. And look, that sounds bad. That sounds horrible, because we as Americans have no idea what it actually means to be nice. We actually don't. We call people from other countries rude, and they it's their custom to be blunt, and so that's rude. But we are also being rude when we lie. It's not nice to lie to a person in their face, a thing that you don't believe, a thing that won't happen. But we keep up such niceties that we think that we're nice, while we are actually being really mean by not being realistic with people. And so I told them a thing that I believe, which is that you can be famous. They could do anything else to become famous. They could be a serial killer, anything. They could No, seriously, they could go ahead and serial kill and like chop. And then if they get famous enough, that then they get the prison interview, because when you real famous, they go to prison to see you, right? And then in the prison interview, they could be like, oh yeah, I'll answer all your questions. And then they sit down with Barbara Walters or whoever, and then they just start belting. They just start like giving it a go. And then when they can't find the note, because they won't, when they can't find the note, that's when they can be like, oh, okay, well, at least I got halfway there, you know? Because it's like I try to be nice by being supportive in the way that I can actually support. I can actually support a person's dream if I can help them see that. If I can help them see the distance between where they are right now and where their dream is, I feel like I'm actually helping them. Because there's sometimes where people think their dream is so far away, crazy far away. My friend that wanted to open that fabric shop thought, how will I ever get the money? And I was like, there are grants for small businesses. There are so many different things that you can do. You can also partner with people. You can try to partner with a brand, build yourself up online, and then that way you can parlay some of that social goodwill into your business, because what you're ultimately trying to do is have like a brick and mortar that people can come to, that is a real experience you can have with another person, that isn't just like another online store that's taking your money and promise you something and delivering something else and then being, absolutely terrible to make a return to. You're trying to be there with people on a thing that you care about, and you think that your dream is here and you're way over there, and that's just not true. So let me show you how close you are to your dream. And then when someone thinks that their dream is going to happen tomorrow, and they'll die before it happens. That they cannot sing. Because here's the thing. It would be different if they were trying to sing and they were in somewhat way trained. Because I could then be like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just not the type of music I like. I've been to a few operas, and there's a couple operas that I've been to that are absolutely beautiful in my mind, and then there are some where I'm like, this is not clicking with me at all. I think that this might be bad. You know, because I've seen I think 3 or 4. Yeah, I've seen 3 operas, right? And the first opera I saw was absolutely beautiful, and I couldn't even tell what was being sung because it was being done in that traditional Italian, and they had some subtitles for some scenes and everything, but still you just see the emotion coming out of the person singing and the way they're belting, the way they're filling this room with no microphone. They're filling up this room, and it's like you can feel almost like bass in a trunk when you have like tweeters on or whatever. You can feel their voice like reverbing through. It was an insane experience. And it got me thinking like, oh, I must just like love opera. Turns out I loved that opera. I saw a different opera and I was like, yeah, I'm not clicking with this thing at all. And that's because like any other discipline, like any other set of art, one instance of the thing can't represent the whole thing. So then I saw my third opera, and I was like, this is amazing. Maybe I do love opera, I just didn't like that opera. Maybe that one just wasn't for me. But when I heard my friend sing, I was like, I don't think I like voices. Like, it's rare. I've heard music before that someone else liked that I didn't click with right away. Like some people like that screaming rock. Some people like the mumble rap. Some people like old classic rock with like some of those licks, and then people like kind of humming under it and everything like that. There's all these different tastes for music. And when I heard them sing, I was like, I don't think I like noise. Like it took me to a place I've never been before. Even the opera I saw that I did not like, the opera that I liked the least, that middle one, even in that one I was like, they are singing, I'm just not following the plot that well, and I'm just like, it's just not hitting in my soul the way the first one was, and the way that the third one did. And what they hit in my soul, I feel like was an organ. Like I feel like they did something to like my ear. I didn't know that your hearing is like these tiny hairs that are sensitive to the sound, and that you need when those hairs die, you lose some of your hearing. I didn't know any of that until I looked it up after I heard them sing, listen. That was the first time I heard someone sing, and afterwards my ears were ringing, and I was like, what is that? Because I looked it up, and when your ears are ringing like that pitch ringing, not a ringing like a headache. When your ears are ringing that like little pitch, hearing that like in the back, and it's sustained, and it doesn't go away for like a day. That's actually you losing hearing at that frequency for like life. And so it's kind of beautiful in a way that eventually I will hear them less. Like that's. But they have a dream. And I think that it's important that I let them know the distance between them and their dream is like it's the same distance, because they have so much passion when they're singing, but their dream and the distance to that dream is it's the same distance from where their voice is to where the key is. Like it's and look, I'm not someone with perfect pitch. I'm not some music snob or anything. I've liked plenty of things that other people thought were bad and annoying music. I love going to musicals. I love, like even with opera, some people can't handle when people have that real, like, reverb to their voice and just can belt like that, right? I love all of that stuff. I really do. And I just think that when I hear them sing, it makes me realize that I'm not tone deaf. Like all these years I thought maybe I was tone deaf because I'd be watching American Idol with my mom and I'd be like, why is Simon being so mean? I think they're doing all right. And then eventually I realized, like, oh, I'm not catching the pitch, like they are off, you know? Like that's why Paula's not putting them through, because Paula would put anybody through. Like Paula Paula might as well have been waving people to third base in Hollywood. You would show up acting crazy and Paul would be like, I love your energy. Let's send you along. I love it, right? But yeah, this whole time in my life, I thought I was actually tone deaf. And then I heard my friend sing, and I was like, that's of the devil. I don't know what key that is, but it's not one of the black ones or the white ones. You singing gray right now. That is absolutely insane. It's why I wish, sincerely, I wish, more of my friends could experience what I experienced. I get to travel all over the country, all over the world. I get to meet incredible people. I get to see the beautiful sights that the people that I'm meeting are used to. Like, sometimes you can take these mountains and this open sky for granted. This place is incredible. But I especially wish that I could bring my friend who sings here. So that they could try. And be winded immediately. You all been great. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Make some noise for your host. Thank you so much for coming out.
Are you guys ready for an amazing show? I want you guys to start getting loud, start clapping it up, start clapping it up, start clapping it up. More energy, let's go, let's go, let's go. Clap it up for Mr. Jack.
So tomorrow we tape the set that's like the sort of New York set. So I'm doing, obviously, jokes I've been doing on the road and stuff, but a little bit more stuff that's like Brooklyn-centric and everything. I remember early on, when I was living here, I got to do a showcase, and then I got to open for somebody at the Bell House. So we sold out both shows, which is like, I know it's not crazy for like, any successful comedian is like, okay, you sold some tickets, so what? But just for me, it's like this whole week of like, we sold out Talia Hall in Chicago, and that's where I started, and then that's the most tickets I've ever sold. I don't know, I'm just like really excited about that, because I think that as much as you don't want to get caught up in any sort of like money, fame, whatever, it's just proof that what I'm doing people are resonating with. And so that feels really special. So tomorrow we're doing 2 shows at the Bell House, and I don't know, I'm like a kid, man. I'm really excited. And it's because I've lived in New York so long, I feel like I'm doing it now for like my friends, and yeah, I just get to show what I've been working on in a way that still feels like pretty personal,
Wow. I love y'all. Thank you so much for being here. This is like... I've been living in Brooklyn for a long time, but I grew up in Louisiana. Nah. This is the thing, when you tell people that you grew up in Louisiana, whether you're at a party or a show, there's always somebody that's like, oh my gosh, I love New Orleans. And then I have to be like, yeah, that's not where I said I was from. Now, don't get me wrong, New Orleans is the best part. It's just that the whole state around that city, you know what I mean? New Orleans to Louisiana is if you had the most beautiful blue eye, but your whole face is fucked up. Like, it's... I didn't say I was from a good part. And I was broke while I lived there, too. And when you're poor in a place that's already terrible, you're just more aware that you're there. I was very present in my situation. I knew if I moved, it was gonna be on foot, And it's weird because sometimes you'll just be talking about your life. You'll tell someone that you grew up poor, and it starts a weird pissing contest you didn't mean to get into with anybody. You'll be talking about your life. I grew up poor, and they'll be like, "Oh, you think that's poor?" Like, I'm not saying you weren't poor. I'm saying I was also being poor. All right. And they'll be like, "I had a favorite flavor of dirt." And it's like, okay, all right, that's sad. That's sad. I'm not saying you weren't being poor over there. I'm just saying I was also poor over there. There's plenty of poverty to go around. I don't know if you've heard. Things are pretty bad for a lot of people. Just to give you an indication of how broke my neighborhood was, when I was little, my neighborhood was so poor that the church closed. If you understand the gravity of that situation, just imagine God being like, "I ain't got it, all right? I don't know what to tell you. This is a bad neighborhood. I'm leaving, all right? I'm not dying again." I lived in Louisiana, didn't have any money. I moved to Chicago, was somehow poor. And now, living in New York is the first time in my life where I'm like making money, things are going well, able to take care of myself and my family and stuff like that. But it's crazy because all those years I had no money. And the first year I had any money, they taxed me like I always had money. That's pretty fucked up, isn't it? Like I just got, you can't give me like a leap year or something to make sure this sticks. I did the thing you're supposed to do. I pulled myself up over imaginary bootstraps people are always talking about. And as I'm edging my way up the cliff of poverty, the government is staying at the top like, "We would like most of that money, please." Boop. And look, don't get me wrong, I grew up the beneficiary of tax programs. I have no problem paying my fair share of taxes. I just don't like the way that we have to pay taxes. Just tell me what I owe. Like, send me a bill. Don't make me count. This is their job, and if I do it bad enough, I go to jail. That sounds fucking insane. Because I owe whatever you say I owe, so just tell me what I owe. Because then when you get the number wrong, you get a letter from the IRS the next year where they're like, "Hey, you're actually off by like $2,000. So you know! How do you know how off I was unless you knew the number the whole time? This is a setup. We just don't do anything else like that when it comes to money, you know? Like, you never go out to eat on a date and you sit down and you look at the menu, but there's no prices. But you order, you eat, you enjoy yourself. But then at the end of the meal, the server doesn't just walk up to you like, "So, how much do you think it costs?" "Don't worry, I'll wait." "Oh, and by the way, if you guess wrong, there is an officer waiting outside." Like, it's insanity. It's just crazy in a country like this, right? In a country with this much of a wealth gap, this much of a general income gap, where your financial well-being is left completely up to you with very little financial education to go out into the world with. It's crazy in a country like that, we still have game shows. That doesn't feel weird to anybody else that every night hundreds of people are getting on live national television to win life-changing amounts of money, and they lose and they still clap. That's the most Black Mirror shit we do. How has no one cursed on a game show yet? You went from $80,000 to zero. How has no one ever just looked down and been like, "Fuck"? That's how we feel for them. Why aren't they freaking out? Every game show, they ask the contestants what they would do with the money, and the answers are almost always practical. You know, what would you do if you won tonight? And people are like, "Oh, I got some student loans I'd pay off. Love to pay off the rest of my auntie's house." You know? And then they lose. They go from $80,000 to zero, but by the time the camera pans to them, they're like, "Maybe next time." It's like, did they give you drugs before the show started? Why are you so calm right now? Host of a game show is always a millionaire, and that doesn't seem to bother anybody. It's never someone with a median income that could be just excited for you if you won because they understand the stakes. It's always like Ellen DeGeneres. And she's leaned over next to you like she's your friend, you know? She's like, oh, wow. What are you gonna do? I mean, $50,000 is a lot of money, you know? I mean, not to me, but... No, I could buy and sell your children, all right? No, but for you, this is a lot of money, you know? And the audience is on your side. Don't you other poors want him to win? Like... We live in an almost cashless society. You use your card for everything. You might use Apple Pay for the rest. And yet, when people are desperate enough, they'll still rob a convenience store or a bank, just get their hands some quick cash to feel like they have a chance. How has no one robbed a game show yet? If I was on Wheel of Fortune and I was in dire straits and I went from $100,000 to zero, I think I'd just be like, I'm sorry, Pat. I think we're gonna have to keep playing. No, fuck that. That was a bad spin. Let me spin again. That's bullshit. Let me spin again. Let me spin up. Vanna. If you move, I will blow your head off, all right? I can touch the screens myself. You think Howie Mandel is strapped? He's not. Go to Deal or No Deal with a fucking gun and be like, open all of them. How about that? I've been watching my friends date, and it's hard out here, you know? It's tough for people, especially because we're not kind to each other. Like, it's terrifying to be vulnerable when you know people are just ruthless, you know? And the thing I watch happen more than anything else, especially between men and women, is we'll use a stereotype to write the other person off, you know? Like, from men to women, it's crazy. It's like, oh, listen to her, she crazy as hell, crazy ass. And then for women to men, it's creepy. Oh, listen to him, he a creepy ass, creepy as hell. You know? I'm not saying those two things don't exist. I'm just saying the threshold to be those two things is incredibly low. Like, in order for a woman to be crazy, all she has to do is have a feeling, all right? Any feeling. It could be positive. She could be laughing. You're like, nah, it's crazy as hell. I don't like that. I want that type of laughter in my life. No, thank you. And all a dude has to do to be creepy is age. That's it. Bro, just be you and 60. Just keep living your life, but be 60. Someone to be like, like... I can't tell you how many times I've been out with a girlfriend. She's like, look at that creep sitting by himself at the bar. I'm like... Yeah, it sounds like he's not bothering anyone. Like, let that dude be 60 somewhere. Because what I don't like about it is that it's almost always covering up a thing. It's a thing you don't want to say. So you say the thing that's a stereotype to get people on your side. You know? Like, is she crazy? Is she really crazy? Or did you just get caught? So it is like half the time you were doing something you weren't supposed to be doing, and she caught you, and now in the face of facts and evidence and good points, all you have left is try to make her question reality, you know? That's why dudes be up here like, she believe everything she see with her eyes. She crazy as fuck. Like, I can't deal with this type. I didn't sign up for this. Like, just because she saw me do it, she gonna be like, you did it. This bitch crazy as hell. I can't. Is he creepy? Is he truly creepy? Or is he just ugly? Like, when are we gonna start being honest? I get it, he has a crush on you, and it's sweet, but when he looks at you, his eyes don't go in the same direction, and it's upsetting. But we can't just add a whole personality trait. Did we learn nothing from The Hunchback of Notre Dame? An entire Disney movie dedicated to this exact situation. Quasimodo wasn't creepy, heart of gold, but he was fucked up looking. We can all admit it. And he laid his feelings out for Esmeralda. Esmeralda did her damnedest. She really did. Quasimodo told her how he felt. And Esmeralda was like, ooh. Quasi, look, he a knight. Okay, this might be my only chance to get out the hood, all right? You understand. Which is honestly Esmeralda's loss, you know? It really is, because you know Quasimodo was packing, all right? He had to be. Nobody walks like that doesn't have a hog, all right? That whole movie that it was up here doing this shit, like... Nah, he was slinging pipe, okay? And he was strong enough to ring the bell by himself. He would have split Esmeralda in two. She wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
I mean, the name of the tour has like so many different meanings. Like there's the 15 aspect of like trying to release 15 minutes every week. There was the, you know, the sort of freshman is like a renewal thing. Like this is my first year doing stuff the way that I've been doing it. But I still feel like so new. I still feel like a baby sometimes, because then you get around people who are just masterful. Like you see the way that they work and the way they write, or just their stage presence. There's so much to learn from everybody, and I feel like I'm still just soaking it all up. Like I don't know. Like I still feel like I'm like everybody's little brother sometimes, because I'm so curious about how everyone thinks and about how they put together what they put together. Watching people be so much more centered than you even know how to be, that's fascinating. And then watching someone take over with their stage presence in a way that's like magic, you know? It's like, I feel like it is like magic sometimes when you look at magicians, and magicians, a lot of them probably know what each other's tricks look like, but every once in a while somebody will create something, and they'll pull something out of nowhere that even makes the magicians go like, damn, that's wild. And I feel like that for jokes sometimes, you know, and that's what I want to create for other comics and other people. It's just like, you think you know where I'm going and you don't, you know, or just the whole overall thing was like an experience.
Y'all have great laughs. I love y'all because y'all are actually laughing. You know what I mean? Like, you'd be surprised how many people pay money to come to a comedy show, buy drinks, and then still don't laugh because they're self-conscious about their laugh. But your laugh is still you expressing joy. We can't be so hard on ourselves that we're like, no, my joy is stupid. I sound like a fucking idiot when I'm happy. I was gonna sit here and stare so I look normal. In the entire time that I've been doing comedy, I've honestly only ever heard one weird laugh. I was doing this show in Amsterdam, and there was a guy, center, dead center. I don't even remember what I said that got him so good. But this dude went to laugh, and I'm not even kidding. This is a perfect impression of his laugh. He went, not only did I stop, the entire audience stopped. And someone sitting behind him actually jumped up and wrapped their arms around, started giving him the Heimlich. Because we were all sure, we're like, that's a dying person. There's no joy in there. I'm not gonna lie, I had a flashback just then. Like that. When you coughed, I was like, there's no way. There's no way he made it to Brooklyn. That's wild.
Logan and I actually met in Chicago, and we did a few shows together before we started really hanging out and everything. And so it's just, yeah, it's important to me to have him there for stuff, because it's someone who I think when you are on the same wavelength as a friend for long enough, you can start to look at each other like that moment, like that moment where something weird happens and then you don't have a person to look at to be like, this is insane, right? It's like Logan is that person for me when it comes to comedy. We have a good way of seeing each other, and I feel like we bring out the funniest parts of each other, So that's been great, and we've been doing that for like 3 years now. And so he's also gonna be doing the Bell House tomorrow. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. I slept pretty well. I had that sleep where you fall asleep and then you wake up in a panic, thinking it's been maybe 10 minutes and it was all night, which I think is good sleep, even though you woke up like screaming. Drinking some white tea, it's apparently even better for you than green tea. And I haven't had it in a while, but I need lots of energy tonight because we have 2 shows at the Bell House. We sold them both out. So I just want to make sure it's a good show for everyone. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little, there's a hair in here. Feel free to cut this. I don't want people knowing I drink hairy tea. I mean, it's not a foreign hair. It's not like a hair that's like not from this house, It's recognizable. Now it's and this thing is like $16 or something. So I can't waste this cup. It's dry leaves.
I think I've been freaking out about getting older in a way. Like I feel like it's hard not to compare yourself with anyone else your age and just or anyone in your career and everything, and wonder if you're not aging in like the right way, And I wanna, I don't know, I wanna age as best as possible because it's coming. There's nothing you can do about it. But there's just so many, there's only a few lanes, it seems, as an old man that you can go. There's only a few directions. You could be creepy old man. You could be like an angry old man. You could be a sweet old man. Or you could just have dementia. Like, it's just, these aren't a lot of great options. And I'm scared because I don't know how much you choose. Like, life keeps happening and you keep reacting to it, and every reaction feels rational, but who's to say? I'm scared I'm gonna become like an angry old man because I already hate kids. But not kids at large, not kids as an idea. I got beef with specific children. There's a few of them already that like, ooh, one day, you know what I mean? Like, just, I'll tell you about one of them. I was walking down the street and I was minding my own business, how most of my stories start, right? And then there was this Girl Scout. No, you need to be on my side, all right? I'm gonna tell you what she did, just listen, okay? I was walking down the street and there was this Girl Scout and she over here working her little corner or whatever, like. And she laying it on thick too, like cookies, and like all that stuff. And so I'm walking, and then I'm trying to just avoid eye contact because she already not at my height level, so I'm just staring straight ahead. And she like cookies, all that stuff, right? And then she like leaned in just to make eye contact. And was like cookies, and I was like, oh no, I'm okay. Thank you so much, though. You have a wonderful day. I said all that. I didn't need to say all that. I didn't need to say all that at all. I could have just kept walking. I could have acted like something was playing in my AirPod, like something, right? But I said that because I'm like, look, she out here, young woman trying to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to give her an encouraging word, okay? I'm not going to give her any money, but she's going to, get good vibes off me. So I'm walking. I'm like, oh, no, thank you, but you have a great day. And I'm not even past her yet. She's still right here. As I get closer, she goes, it's okay if you're broke. What? What? Who? What do you do next? Do you know what I mean? This is crazy. This is just, and so that I shouldn't have stopped. I should not have stopped. I should have just kept going about my day. But now I'm like level with, and I stopped. I was like, excuse me, and she goes, it's okay if you're broke. She said it again. That's the Bronx. Like that's something specific in a person to say that I'm closer to you now. That's crazy. You're out here by yourself. Where are your parents? You're out here selling cookies on the corner talking shit. That's so insane. And it's like, what do you do next? I can't just be out here yelling at this. I can't just be a grown black man out here on the street yelling at a little girl holding cookies. Fox News would have a fucking field day. If I'm just out here, they get a still of me like, and she's holding the cookies like this. New York Post, black man strikes again. That's... No, what do you do? So I hit her with everything that felt like within the parameters of polite conversation to do. I told her, I was like, Santa ain't real, all right? Too fair. No, because she was gonna find out anyway. And with a little girl like this, Santa ain't coming anyway. So like, let me just... I'm like, Tooth Fairy ain't real, Easter Bunny ain't real. And she was like, I know. And you don't have any real money. And I left because what do you do? So I left, but I was like, I'm gonna go home, and I'm gonna pray, all right? I'm gonna pray against this little girl. Lord, just keep it that same size her whole life, just. It was a while back where I still hadn't got like my money right. And I remember the AirPods came out, Apple AirPods, and I don't know why, but I wanted them. And I don't even know why I think I wanted them because I knew I couldn't afford them. It was just something to have, right? Something to use as a marker to be like, I got it like that now, right? And so I'd saved up a little bit, but I still didn't have enough. Now, I was getting close, and I decided, no, I'm not going to spend this on something material. I'm going to take this money, and I'm going to spend it on something that could be like a memory, something that I won't lose, something that can't just break, right? And so I took a trip to Mexico, and when I was in Mexico, I saw some knockoff AirPods. And they were cheap, and they weren't just cheap by conversion rate. They were cheap in pesos. They were so cheap, I thought they were a toy, right? But I was like, let's roll the dice and see if these really work, right? If they compare to my phone and everything. And so I bought them, I brought them home, and I opened the box. Now, the box was bigger than AirPod box usually is. And then I opened it up, and then the AirPods were like 3 times bigger than AirPods are supposed to be. So first of all, when I put them in, they genuinely hurt. Like these, I don't have the biggest ears, but these were hurt. I had to wrench them in. I had to use leverage to squeeze them into my head. And then, you know how they're supposed to come here? It's like they were hanging low. It's like anybody that could see me could see these weren't real AirPods. They look like 2 wrenches hanging out of my head. And so I remember I turned them on and I had to press the button because they were so big, they had buttons. All right, so I pressed the button and it didn't even make a technology sound. It wasn't like, it was like, immediately. And I don't know if this is related, but as soon as I turned them on, my balls hurt. I don't know if that's part of it, but I turned them on and it was like, and like, immediately. And so I turned them on, and then while I had them on, my mom called me. And I've never used any sort of listening device that could connect to Bluetooth where somebody called you and sounded like they were behind you. Like, I hit the button to answer the call. I was like, ding, ding, and then, because you had the ding, ding, and then I hit the ding, ding, and then I was like, hey, Mom, and she was like, hey, how you doing? I was like, oh. And I tried it. I tried it for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, every day, I was like, it's not gonna hurt tomorrow. Kept putting them in my head, kept wrenching them in. It took 3 wrenches to get them in. It was like, doom, 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 and they both be in, and like, and like, every day for 3 weeks, right? And then finally, I had to hang it up. I was like, you know what? If you want something, you gotta get the real thing, you know? You gotta get the genuine product. And so I went ahead, I put them up, stopped using them, saved up my money, got some real AirPods. But then, the real AirPods, they didn't fit in my ear because I had stretched it so much. And my right one snapped back a little bit, but my left one still loose. Like, my ear ussy is not tight at all. It's loose as hell. And so if I even yawn, the left one fall out. The left one is consistently in danger. I only put the right one in on a plane. I can't risk it.
So conveniently, I just happened to have the cue cards from when I did tonight's show.
Our next guest can be seen at the Helium Comedy Club.
Oh yeah, I was doing the clubs that week. And Josh Johnson, see him at the Helium Comedy Club
In St. Louis, November 2nd and 3rd.
Please welcome the very funny
Josh Johnson!
And then these are the jokes I did.
Guys, I'm Josh Johnson. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great night.
We'll be right back.
Josh Johnson!
So we are on our way to the Bell House right now. It's finally happening. We're about to get ready for the show. Yeah, still pretty, I don't know, still pretty, like, nervous in a sense, because I'm a little, this is very unprofessional of me, but I'm a little unsure of exactly what I want to do as far as, like, I've got the set, but then joke to joke, I'm like wondering if little middle pieces need to be there and stuff like that. So it's like still just tinkering with it in my head and stuff. And there's nothing that I think is gonna bomb. And I think that is most of what doing comedy is like. Everything that I'm gonna do tonight, I think works. So if it doesn't, that will be news to me. I have this one that I'm really excited to do because it's like, I've done it a couple times before, but it's about someone that I know and how she did ayahuasca for the first time. And yeah.
I've been doing my best to read more, and there's a thing I've been thinking about all year, about how back in the earliest civilizations, if someone wanted to seek a higher self, they always sought some sort of deity. There was a god that them and their tribe worshipped, you know, that made them feel closer to something bigger. And as society progressed and you had slightly more modern civilization, still ancient to us, it splintered a little bit. There was a god, but then there was also spirituality. You could seek a higher self. And then there was also the tribe or the state. There became a thing of, as long as it's not about me, then maybe it can be bigger than me. And then you fast forward to modern times, to today. and it's completely splintered off. Some people, it's still God, some sort of spirituality. Other people, it's a cause. It's something that they feel they can use to make the world a better place, leave it better than they found it, you know. I have a friend who seeks her higher self through drugs, like mind-expanding, mind-altering drugs to get a better sense of who she is, whatever that bigger self is supposed to be. And she told me a little while back that she did ayahuasca. And she had always been terrified to do ayahuasca because she wasn't sure of the place that it would take her, and she was ready to see herself in that light, you know? And she told me, and I was like, oh, well, you know what? Good for you. There was something you were scared to do, and you did it. You made it happen, right? And we were talking about it, and she was like, yeah, it was just so serendipitous. You know, I was just at the grocery store, and I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I was at the grocery store near my place. And I was like, you did in Brooklyn? Like, what? I thought you flew to Peru or something. It's like, yeah, I did at the grocery store near my place. You know, I met this guy, and we got to talking, and we were on the same vibe, and he told me that he had some, and I was like, wait. You know how black people have a reputation for talking during the movie? I was doing that the whole story. Like, she's telling me about a story in the past, and I'm still like, bitch, get out the room. Get out the room. And it's like, yeah, so when, you know, we were talking, we were on similar wavelength and everything, and so, you know, I went back to his place with him because he said that he had some, and he showed me how to do it, and honestly, as soon as I smoked it, and I was like, what? I don't know if y'all have ever done ayahuasca. I've never done ayahuasca, but every documentary I've watched about ayahuasca, it's a drink. There's never a pipe involved. And she was like, yeah, as soon as I smoked it, I could just feel like, I felt so much energy. I could feel like my ancestors rushing through me and everything. And I was like, oh, Bethany. Bethany, you smoked crack. Like, I hate to be the one to tell you. You seem excited about everything that happened. I hate to break to you, but you gotta be more discerning. This is insane. I could just feel like the ancestors coursing through me. It's like, are you related to Reagan? Like, what are you talking about? It's chaos. Comedy was the first way I learned how to like really communicate with people. And so watching other people communicate, even if I'm just watching my friend's show, like I'm gonna watch Logan go up tonight, I'm gonna watch Onika before I go up. I think that you get such a slice of a person and who they are when you watch them do comedy. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Do you get nervous? Are you nervous?
I'm not nervous yet. It might hit me like in a little bit. Like probably when the show is starting, I'll probably get a little nervous.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But
I feel like I don't get, once I'm up, everything is fine.
Yeah, once I'm up, it goes away. But it's like it'll start like once like they start pre-show announcements or whatever. Once lights change, then there'll be a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of times not much, but maybe for something like this, maybe a little bit more.
Once I am up there, though, I feel like I am where I'm supposed to be. So it all sort of melts away. I'm very grateful, though, to a good portion of my family. Family teaches you how to deal with the same type of people that you're gonna meet out in the world as them, right? I feel like I deal with crazy people well because my uncle. My uncle is a conspiracy theorist, but he don't believe in any of the popular ones. Everything my uncle say, I've never heard anybody else say in my entire life. I was at my uncle's house one time. I was just chilling with him, right? Sitting there watching TV. Out of nowhere, my uncle turns to me during a commercial, and he goes, "You know them kangaroos is a myth." What do you say to that? What do you say next to something like that? What's the plan now? You know what I mean? And this is my thing with conspiracies, is that if there's money to follow, I can understand how somebody got there, right? I'm not saying it makes it true. I'm not saying it's any less crazy, but money is an incredible motivator. It's one of the most powerful ones that we have as people. So if there's money to follow, I could see how someone arrived at some sort of conclusion, as crazy as it may be. So I asked him, who is making money off of all of us believing in kangaroos? And without missing a beat, he was like, I bet them zoos making a pretty penny. It's like, that's... What's wrong with you? Like, what, like, you think there's just a guy. You think there's just a guy in a suit, just a former Olympian jumping as high as he can for 8 hours a day. He's like, you making some good points. I'm like, I'm not in it. I'm asking you questions. I don't agree with your thing. Don't do that. I sat down with this man and watched an 1.5-hour documentary about kangaroos that I didn't need because I'm a believer. And at the end, he just turns to me, he's like, that's a deep fake. I know a deep fake when I see one. I'm like, you're beyond help. I think that's why I'm so freaked out about getting older. It's the way that we treat people who are older. It's who we turn into when we get older. You know? Like I've had the blessing of being around people who were much, much, much older than me. There's a relative I have. He's so old, we don't know how old he is. We just, and now he can't even tell us. He's like, from before. A lot has happened. You know, but we know he's over 90 because he got that 90 face. You know what I'm talking about? He already got that. Everybody in here who knows my 90 know what I'm talking about. They all make the same face. They're always like, huh! Non-stop. No matter where you take them, every all the time. It's like they're surprised they're still alive. Like every night they go to sleep and they wake up, they think it's gonna be heaven and it's regular earth. And they're like, oh! I'm so old! And I used to wonder why they made that face, and I think I figured it out. All of us are still living in the world. We're still active participants in the world. Things happen in the world, we react to them in real time. We still affect change in the world. He's not like that. He's been retired for decades. He's been sitting on a couch watching Westerns. He's not in the world. So every once in a while, somebody tells him something that's happening in the world, and he's shocked. And that's what you're seeing is permanent shock face on people in their 90s. Because I'll say something I don't even think is that groundbreaking. You know? I'll just be chilling with him. And he'll be like, ah! They made women's basketball? I'm like, yeah, dude, a long time ago. When are you from? You know? But it's a blessing to have people like that in my life. It actually, you know, I appreciate it for what it is. And I hope I get to live that long. But if I do, then I'm gonna have a thing. There's gonna be one day where I'm like, ah! It makes me wonder what mine is gonna be. You know? Like, it's probably gonna be a sex thing. I feel like social stuff, I'm pretty malleable. And things sort of roll off my shoulder. But I think one day in 2050, I'll be sitting there like, huh? They're sucking elbows now? That's pretty docile. It'll probably be worse than that. You know. Has somebody ever asked you to do something in bed that made you go like, Did the last guy do it? Because like if the last guy did that, I'll do it. But if you just came up with this, I don't feel comfortable, all right? Don't get me wrong, if the last guy did it, I'll do it. I'm not gonna be outdone. But if you just came up with this, I need to do some research because I've never heard of that before. You know? I just don't want to do something for someone and then they go out in the world and they're like, Josh loves sucking elbow. It's like, no, don't do that. Tell him you asked me to, all right? Tell him you had to ask me twice, okay? Because first I said no, then I said, then I did it. I sucked a girl elbow one time, but she asked me to. I didn't get it either. It didn't make sense to me. Sitting there like, is your wiener stimulated? Like, no. Like y'all look like y'all are together, you know? It's just extra skin. That's what's weird. Like y'all might go home later and get a little freaky and everything, and like, look at your elbow and look at his balls. That's the same skin, you know what I mean? That's why I don't like when women are like, ugh, balls are gross. It's like, you got balls too, bitch. Don't do that.
How do you feel the tour has been this year? Because this kind of whole year has been the freshman tour. And we've been a lot of different places, both flying, road trips, a little mix of everything. How's that all, when you look back on it?
When I look back, I feel really good about it because I think that I think that we've both grown, and I also feel like we've made better and better shows. Oh well, now you're ruining it. Don't touch me. This is terrible.
Sorry, this is actually how we are. I'm sorry if it's bad for this. This is.
I think that we've made better and better shows for people to come to.
I think so.
I think that for the most part, I can't help but be happy with everything. And then it's great to meet people afterwards and hang out with them and talk to them and stuff. I'm always bummed out when there's like too much of a time crunch to do the meet and greet, like if we have to leave or something, or if there's another show right after or something, like that always makes me a little sad because I do like to meet everyone and I don't know, I'm a chatty guy.
Yes. And that's why sometimes with meet and greets, I'm working as security to keep it moving.
Josh, welcome to the stage, please.
Yeah.
I do want to take a second to thank every single one of you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Like, my life really changed this year, and it's because of y'all. You know? Like, this has been, you know, my dream to do this since I was a little kid. And I'm doing it now because of y'all, you know? I think if it wasn't for y'all, I'd just be in a room by myself, which would be pretty jarring, you know? Because to me, comedy is a lot like magic, you know? If a magician is doing tricks for nobody in the room, he's just a person lying to himself. I'm about to make this disappear. It's in my hand. You know? And it's the same way for comedy. If I was here without you, I'd just be sitting in a room by myself being like, maybe this is a good idea. So I appreciate y'all. And I've had to do a lot of self-reflection this year. Maybe I can make this idea make sense. Okay, there's a person that I think that I am, and a person that I actually am. And I spend all my time trying to make sure that those two people are the same person. Does that make sense? I don't want to walk around delusional, not really know myself, what I'm like, you know? Best example I can give is, years ago, I was at this 4th of July celebration. It was gonna be the biggest one that the county I was in had ever put on. They had spent thousands and thousands of dollars for these like tubed cannons pointing straight up, right? And they set them up all the way down the parking lot, all the way down the beach, almost to the water. And at 8 o'clock, they start firing them off. It's the loudest thing I've ever heard. And it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen because it took up the entire sky. I still don't know what went wrong. But out of nowhere, 2 rows of the cannons fell over. So now they're shooting at us. And so we scatter, right? And as I'm running, I see this one woman off by herself. As the fireworks are shooting past her, she's just going, "Oh." And it's like, first of all, what is your plan here, ma'am? Your whole face is still, what is this hand protecting? And then a dude who I have to assume was her husband, because he didn't look like a boyfriend, because he didn't look good. You know what I mean? Like, he just, I don't know, he had those bad knees, like he played football in the 70s or something. He's like, "I'm coming, baby." And he made his way over to her. And she's right here, right? And when he runs over and he gets to her, he does this. Like a standing spread eagle to cover his wife from the oncoming fireworks, right? And then a whistler. I don't know if you know which one that is, but it does a tight circle, no color. One of those is coming right at him, all right? And then right when the whistler was to him where you are to me, he went, "Oh," and then moved out of the way. His wife caught the full shit in the chest. It was exploding on her chest. And I don't know if you watch anime growing up, but it looked like the bitch was powering up. Like she was like, "Oh!" She looked like Goku for 6 seconds. Like, "Oh!" She got so bright, I was like, she dead. There is no way. But that's what I mean. There's a dude he thought he was. And a dude he actually was. Because in his mind, he was the type of dude to take a whistler to the chest for his wife. But in real life, he was a dude willing to find a new wife. Like, thank y'all so much. I'm Josh Johnson. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean it. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much for coming out. And there's a lot more to come. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty nervous. I might still botch this entire thing. Like this may be wholly unusable. If anybody sees this, it means I thought maybe I slid into home, or maybe we just spent enough money that it would be insane to not put it up. Do you know what I mean? It's like it would be a waste to just not use any of this, even if I did kind of botch it. I mean, do I sound okay? I think I'm getting a sinus infection. Like, as I'm talking to you, I'm getting, like, drainy. I'm just gonna do something to, like, say thank you for everything. So I'm gonna read it to you. You just tell me if it's, like, I don't know, if it sounds okay. All right, ready? When I started in Chicago, I couldn't really dream of doing what I'm doing now. This tour has been life-changing, and getting to come back to one of the places that feels most like home made it even more special. Thank you is too few words to describe the gratitude I have for every one of you, but here it goes. Thank you for every ticket that you bought. Thank you for every video you watch. Thank you for saying what's up or love your stuff on the street. Thank you for putting the people you know onto me. Thank you for every comment. Thank you for every video shared. Thank you for following with me as I evolve. Thank you for enjoying the climb. Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for being my friends. Oh, and thanks for having patience with me. Yeah.